Just before we start with today's video, I just want to say thank you for all the amazing support that my short film Good Evening has received over the last few weeks. That's going to be a topic for another video, because in today's video what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate in 2023, the horror movies that got released in 2023. Now, I know that 2023 might not have been the best year for horror. In fact, I think it's one of the weakest that we have gotten in the last probably 10 years. But it's not a secret that we received a few good gems, and also we received a few bad films. For example, in 2023, I got to see one of my favorite horror films of all time. We got a few franchise films some of them were really good, but at the same time we got some pretty lazy films. We also got some very weird, but in a bad way, films. And at the same time, I think in 2023 we got a lot of original horror. So today we're going to be focusing on all of those films. I'm going to be ranking them, and I think I have 53 films. I'm going to be from the cinema to the streaming films and etc. Now, just before we start, I just want to say that I'm not including series, because obviously I think series and movies, they always should be separated, because obviously they're different formats, they're different kind of media. So I don't think they should be compared. And at the same time, I'm not going to be including short films, because I did watch a lot of new short films this year, especially because in October I attended a horror film festival all the way in New York in England. But I'm not going to be including those because, again, I don't think it's fair to compare a 2 hours film with a 5 minutes film, you know what I mean? And just bear in mind that I didn't watch every single horror release in this year, because honestly, there is just not enough time. So for example, you're not going to be seeing in this list films like Snow Falls, There Is Something Wrong with the Children, The Pope's Exorcist, because I just didn't have the time to watch those films before shooting this video. So if a film that you might love or that you might hate is not on my list, again, it's probably because I haven't seen it yet. So now, coming at the two last places, and I gave both of these films half star, so they will come at 53 and 52. But for me, the worst film of this year will be Unwelcome, directed by John Wright. Now, the basic reason why I gave this film half star and why it, for me, is the worst film of the year is because I honestly felt it really boring, really dragging. I found myself so bored. Despite this film having a big budget, it felt really cheap. And coming at number 52 will be Slaughterhouse, directed by Matthew Godhue. Now, this film, I know that this film is supposed to feel stupid. I know that this film knows what it's doing, blah blah blah, with having this killer and stuff. But again, I found myself pretty boring, because how can you have this concept, which is supposed to be the funniest concept of the year, being so boring? And I think I blame the characters, because honestly, you just don't care at all. Next 3 films are films that I gave just 1 star. So at the bottom of that list, coming at number 51, that will be 65, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Now, 65 is a film that I was really excited to watch, because obviously I love kind of dystopian worlds. I love dinosaurs, so I was really excited for these. But when I watched this at the cinema, let me just tell you that I almost fall asleep, because how can you make this beautiful concept with such a boring execution? You know what I mean? Like, the dinosaur is not even that iconic, and the storyline, that just doesn't make sense. Time-wise, again, it's pretty boring. Again, so much humanistic story in a movie that shouldn't have that side. I just didn't enjoy this. Coming at number 50, that will be A Spoonful of Sugar, directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan. Now, this film is a Shudder original, so I was really sad to include this film so low on my list, because obviously I love Shudder. I think it's the best streaming platform out there. But A Spoonful of Sugar, again, I think it was just a concept that shouldn't have been made in an hour, almost 2 hours film. You know, like, this concept could have easily been done for a short film. The only few things that I liked about this film, and that's why it's 1 star, is the cinematography and the sound design, because it was pretty cool, especially because blood is really involved in this film. But at this point, I don't really remember it so much. I just remember that I found myself so bored. Next film, I'm coming at 49, that will be a very brand new film, Five Nights at Freddy, directed by Emma Dami. Now, it really breaks my heart, but including this film and this low position on my list. But let me just say that I found this film so boring, and I don't know why. when you have this concept which is supposed to be so funny, because we're talking about Five Nights at Freddy, you know, like robots, toys and stuff. I've never played the video games, but that's not an excuse to have a bad film, you know. I just think that this film was too serious for what it really is, you know, like this film should just have been made pure dark comedy with horror and stuff, but instead we even get two very heavy humanistic storylines that just doesn't make sense being in a Five Nights at Freddy film. The only reason why I give this film 1 star is honestly Josh Hutcherson, because I think he played this role so well, and you can see that he tries his best to save this film. At number 48, that will be a film that is pretty hate in the horror community, and that will be Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, directed by Ryan Frank Waterfield. Now this film is like above all of the ones below, because I think this film just treated the audience in such a bad way. I think this movie just insults the audience. It was to say to the audience you're stupid, because again, this film is taking itself too serious. And for what? For what reason? Because it just doesn't make sense that Winnie the Pooh is an actual serial killer, like it's an actual bear killing people, when in reality the character looks like a big guy with a mask. And the movie just wants you to believe that that's an actual bear. So that's the main reason why I didn't like this film. Again, the characters, you just don't remember them at all. And it's 1 star, and it's like the best 1 star from this list, because the kills, they were pretty awesome, and some of the cinematography was very cool. But I just wish the cinematographers, they treated this as a horror comedy, because obviously Winnie the Pooh and a slasher, it should be a horror comedy. Now, coming at the movies that I gave 1.5 stars, we have 2 films. So coming at number 47, that would be Children of the Corn, directed by Kurt Wimmer. Now, Children of the Corn, honestly, this was the first film that I watched from this franchise, and honestly probably the last one I will ever watch. I just didn't enjoy this film at all. Like, I'm really sorry, but again, I found myself really boring, and the acting was very questionable, and the cinematography was okay. But again, I think this concept should just have been made in a short film, not in an hour 30 minutes, because it just drags so much. The design from like the main monsters, the main villain, it was really questionable again. So I'm coming at number 46, that will be The Dive, directed by Maximilian Erlewin. Now The Dive, this is the last new film from this year that I watched before shooting this video, and I was really excited because some people in the community told me that this gave them 47 meters down vibes, the Descent vibes. So I was really hyped to watch this film, because obviously I love both of those films. When I watched this, let me just tell you that I was so annoyed with that person, because I was like, why would you say that this movie has the Descent vibes? Like, how can you treat The Descent that way when The Descent is like one of the best films of the 2000s, you know? So I was really annoyed. And this film just doesn't care about its characters, because the movie just throws the characters at you, and the movie pretends for you to care about them. So no, not a really good film. Now we're entering into the 2 stars category, and the first film at the bottom of this category, coming at number 45, that will be The Conference, directed by Patrick Eklund. Now The Conference is a Netflix original, so I was not really looking forward. I watched this with my boyfriend, and let me just tell you that he fell asleep. So I gave this film 2 stars just because I think, obviously I like foreign films, so that was a nice touch, but also because I think the synopsis is quite fun, you know, because it was about corporate employees on this like recruiting kind of like camp and stuff, the conference. And I just didn't enjoy it, because again, the movie took itself too serious, too much humanistic storylines for a slasher that is supposed to be just fun. I give it 2 stars just because, again, the synopsis was kind of unique to be a slasher, and also because some of the kills, they were a bit graphic, and the killer's design, the mask, was pretty fun, let's say. When at number 42, that will be The Meg 2, The Trench, directed by Ben Wheatley. Now the Meg 2, I loved the first Meg, so I was really excited for this one, especially because it was in 3D. I watched this at the cinemas in 3D, but let me just say that I was really bored, because again, how can you make this concept, which is supposed to be a Meg and the sequel to the 2018 phenomenon, be so boring? again, too much humanistic storyline for no reason. I just didn't enjoy this, and the CGI was very, very, very bad. And that's not forgettable because the Meg 2 is a Hollywood film, you know, so they had the money to make this film look really good, but they just didn't. Coming at number 43, that will be another Netflix original, and that will be Killer Book Club, directed by Carlos Alonso Ojea. Now, this film, I know many people are liking this film because obviously it gave them Scream vibes, and now it did like summer vibes, and obviously the movie gives you those vibes. But I was really annoyed because I don't mind when movies give like homage to other horror phenomenons, but when your film is all about that, that's it, when it annoys me. And this movie, it literally has a shot by shot shots scenes from like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I just didn't like that because if I want to watch those kind of shots, those kind of scenes, I will watch Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, I wouldn't go to this film. And at number 42, that will be another Netflix original, so you are kind of seeing the thread going on here, and that will be Nowhere, directed by Albert Pinto. Now with Nowhere, I watched this with my boyfriend and he really hated it because this film, again, is like, it's a one location kind of film, and you know me, like, I love this kind of films. I think because they are so creative and it all depends on the location, and the location of this film is pretty iconic. But again, this is a film that should just have been maybe 90 minutes, maybe 50 minutes, an hour 20, but this film is almost 2 hours. For what? Now, I just didn't enjoy that this film was so disturbing for literally no reason. Like, the opening and the first 10 minutes of this film is like one of the most disturbing things that I've seen this year for no reason, because the movie just doesn't continue that. I think they could have done something else if the one location was gonna be that, but it just didn't add up. Coming at number 41, and you will be surprised why I didn't include this movie lower, and that will be The Exorcist Believer, directed by David Gordon Green. Now, The Exorcist Believer, honestly, every single bad review that you have heard about it is true, because this film is way too lazy, you know, because how can you make this film a requel to the phenomenon from the 70s being this boring or being this cliche? Like, we have seen this film so many times, because obviously exorcism films, you just need to make sure they are very different, because we have so many films about that concept. So when you make something that is like the same thing, and when it's supposed to be a direct sequel to like one of the biggest films of the all time, you just don't care at all. And it's such a shame, because I think it could have been so much better, because obviously we're following for the first time 2 girls and stuff. Like, it could have been so much better, but instead David Gordon Green decided to follow what's common about this subgenre. Coming at number 41, that will be a Hulu Disney Plus original, and that will be No One Will Save You, directed by Brian Duffield. Now, you might be surprised because this film is very well popular in the horror community. Like, many people love this film, but honestly, I didn't, because this film, again, too long for what it really is, and I honestly didn't appreciate the non-dialogue, because it just didn't make sense that the character was not talking. Like, she wasn't deaf, she wasn't in a foreign country and stuff, so why is she not talking? Or like, it's not even explained why nobody is talking in this world, like in this dystopian world. Like, an explanation should have been made. Now we're entering into the 2.5 stars movies, and the first one coming at number 39, that will be Quicksand, directed by Andres Beltran. Now, Quicksand, I was really excited to watch this film because this film takes place in Colombia, so I was really excited for it, because I was like, finally a horror that doesn't include drugs, because I hate when cinema does that to my country, but that's fine. Now, Quicksand, I was really looking forward, because again, I hate snakes, I hate a quicksand, I don't like winter, so I don't like hiking. So I was really thinking this movie was gonna be very effective for me, but it wasn't, because again, the characters are very dumb. Like, the reason why they get into this situation is just so stupid, because why would you, you know? The only thing that I like is that the cinematography is gorgeous. Obviously, I like that it's like Spanglish, Coming at number 38 will be an Amazon Prime original, and that will be Totally Killer, directed by Nathmat Khan. Now this film, you will be surprised again because many people are loving this film. People are giving this film 4 stars, 4.5, 5. And I can't see why people are doing that. But for me, honestly, I like this subgenre in horror, like going back to the future, into the past, trying to solve anything. And in that process, you might get lost, blah, blah. I like that concept. For example, Happy Death Date, Freaky. I like those concepts. But the main thing why I didn't like this film is because this film is going 3 decades into the past, you know, because this film is taking place in the 2020s, but obviously the character, she has to go to the 80s. So that's 4 decades actually. Now, I just wish the difference between the 80s and the 2020s was more like, it was more recognizable, because I just think the movie looks the same throughout the whole time, and it just doesn't make sense that when we are in the 80s, it looks like we're in the 2020s with people dressed up as 80s people, you know. Coming at number 37, and I'm really sad to include this movie this low on this list because I was really looking forward, because I love the director, and that will be The Killer, directed by David Fincher. Now, you had it right, this movie was directed by David Fincher, and this is a Netflix original, which really surprises me because I did not expect David Fincher to go for the streaming services. And the cast is insane. Like, we have very popular names. I was really looking forward for this, and also because the synopsis was really intriguing, because again, David Fincher, he's known for doing like disturbing kind of thrillers, horrors. So when I watched this film, I was like, what is the David Fincher magic? Because honestly, I think it can do better than this. I think that the movie follows the same scene for like repetitive times, and I didn't really enjoy that. And there is no main explanation of what really is happening. At number 36, that will be another Shudder original, and that will be Influencer, directed by Curtis David Harder. Now, The Influencer, this movie, this synopsis was really intriguing because, again, personally, I hated the term influencer. So when I heard that this movie was called that name, I was really excited because I was like, how stupid is this gonna be? Is it gonna be a dark comedy, blah blah? But it's not. This movie is a really not dark, but like it's a great social commentary to influencers. I think the actresses that are here, they really did a fantastic job, especially our main villain. And you actually root for her. Like, I actually liked her. I liked her reasons. I mean, you know what I mean. And I just think that it was a nice touch for this kind of subgenre and a great social commentary to this stupid term. Coming at number 35, that will be another Amazon Prime original, and that will be Dark Harvest, directed by David Slade. Now, I was really excited for this because I like this director. I also liked that this movie was gonna be kind of like that dystopian kind of stuff, because you don't really know what's happening. And when I was watching this film, I was like, is this Dark Harvest, or is this taking place during the Purge but in another part of America? That's why I didn't like this film, and that's why it's 2.5 stars, because I just think that this movie was a really copycat of many horror films that we have known over the past few years. And the only reason why the movie is like at this position in the top 30 is because the cinematography was amazing, the gore was really intriguing, and some of the landscapes, they were really gorgeous. But the characters, the storyline, the synopsis, the execution, the climax, it didn't really work for me. Now we're entering at the 3 stars in this list, and we have a lot of films in this list, so I'm just gonna go very quick on this part of the video. So coming at number 34, we have It Lives Inside, directed by Vishla Dutta. I did a whole review of this film, so I will just link it up here. And also coming at number 33, that will be Cocaine Bear, directed by Elizabeth Banks. Now, I was really excited for this because Cocaine Bear, like, how funny can you be, you know? But again, how can you have this funny concept in such a boring film? I liked Bear. I think the bear looked so iconic, and I just wish we had more of that instead of the humans, because again, with creatures should be like the main character on these films, but the bear feels like it's a third character, and I didn't like that. The kills were iconic, and just it made me laugh a few times, and that's why it's a 3 stars. And at number 32, that will be Plane, directed by James Francois Richard. Now, I do consider this a horror movie. It's action horror, just like The Purge. And I really enjoy this, and that's why it's at 3 stars, because I love films that take place with plane disasters. I think they're quite fun. Obviously, I love the main actor. I think he's super fun. And I had myself a good time watching this film. Obviously, it's not a film that you're supposed to laugh, because the concept is quite dark. And it's something that we have seen before, but it's a fun, pass by action, kind of horror and stuff. So if you're into those movies, this will be for you. Number 31, that will be The Boogeyman, directed by Rob Savage. Now, The Boogeyman is a 3 stars for me, just because it's something that we have seen before many times. This felt like the casting of A Quiet Place. It felt like A Quiet Place spin-off, reboot. And I know that was not the intentions behind the cinematographers or the filmmakers, but it did feel like that. So I think that's why it's a 3 stars. I gave it also this score because I think that some of the shots, they were really creative. I think the characters, you really care for them, because this is a family that we don't really see that often in horror. And I liked the use of lighting and the shadows with the main creature, let's say. But again, it's a film that doesn't really sustain itself to be above 3 stars, just because of how cliche it is. Coming at number 30, that will be it was a requel or sequel, Pet Sematary Bloodlines, directed by Lindsay Anderson Beer. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, because I'm sure this film is going to be at the lowest bottom part of everybody else's video, but I did like this film, and if we had a Blu-ray, I would definitely buy it, because I like the Pet Sematary remake, so maybe that's why I like this film, because many people hate that film, but I honestly didn't find it that bad. And this movie works as a prequel to that remake, because people are forgetting that this movie is not a prequel to the original. This is a prequel to the remake. And I like that we got to know about more of these, like Pet Sematary, the origins, because honestly it's something that I always wanted to know why this exists. And it was fun. I liked that it takes place in the 60s. I believe that it was the 60s. The gore, it was amazing. I think it's like the goriest film in the franchise. Obviously, I haven't seen the second one, and I haven't seen the first one in a very long time, so I don't really remember mostly anything. I gave this movie 3 stars just because I just didn't feel anything, and again, because obviously the film follows a lot of tropes, so it just doesn't really sustain itself to be more than 3. At number 29, that will be Renfield, directed by Chris McKay. Now, this film, honestly, I think this position for this film is quite respectable, because this film, I did enjoy Nicolas Cage, and I think the main duo, they were fantastic. They were so funny. This movie was super quick. I really enjoyed myself watching this film. It just 3 stars just because obviously the CGI is horrible, and I don't think it's forgettable, because again, this is a Hollywood film. The budget is quite high, so they could have done something better. Practical effects could have worked so much better on this film rather than CGI. Coming at number 28, and that will be another Netflix original, that will be Bird Box Barcelona, directed by Alex Pastor and David Pastor. Now, this film, I love the first Bird Box. I think it's one of the best horror films for the last 5 years, because the concept is so beautiful. I haven't read the book, but this film Barcelona, I think it was a nice touch to this I don't want to say franchise, but to this concept of films. I think the main characters, they were really fun. I really like that we follow the main character is that kind of person, and that this movie explains the stuff from the first film, because you have a lot of questions from the first film and you might have the answers on this one. The main reason why it's 3 stars is because this film, even though it starts so heavily on the horror, the movie starts to lose the horror in the middle act and in the third act. And in the third act, it's really cheesy, because religion is involved, the church is involved, and I just didn't like that. That had to be involved in a Bird Box concept. Coming at number 27, and this film is one of the latest films that I watched at the cinemas, and the duo is amazing, because Anne Hathaway, she's back, and that will be Alien, directed by William Oldroyd. Now, this film, let me just say that it's one of the most gorgeous looking films from this year, because you really believe that this film is taking place in the 60s, early 70s, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I honestly liked how the movie combines thriller with drama with horror, Again, the main characters are fantastic. I think Thomas Sin, I think that's her name, she is becoming such an iconic screen queen. Her acting was phenomenal. I think this movie is pretty unique. I don't know if it's based on a book, I believe it is. But I'm really excited to read that book because I really enjoy myself watching this. The only reason why it's 3 stars is because I do think that the movie takes a lot of time to give us the climax, and we spend a lot of time watching the same scene over and over again. Coming at number 26, that will be When Evil Lurks, directed by Demian Bruckner. Now this is a Shudder original, and people might be surprised because I'm sure this is gonna be in the top 5 films of the year for many people, but I just didn't enjoy myself watching this so much because I think the disturbingness from this film, it was just for shock value. I hate when animals get hurt in movies. And obviously, if it's part of the storyline, it's okay because you know that they are fake animals and stuff. But when the movie is graphic with animals, I just don't enjoy that because why do I want to see a dog being killed? Why do I want to see a sheep, a horse, a cat? Like, why? That's not like, you can give me that without showing it. And honestly, kids are involved too much in this film in like very disturbing ways when they could have avoided, because the concept of this film is very unique and it's one of the most unique concepts of the year, but I just wish the execution was better. Coming at number 25, that will be one of the newest films from this year, and it's a Netflix original, and that will be Leave the World Behind, directed by Sam Esmail. Now when I tell you that I was really excited for this film because of the cast, I'm not even lying, because the casting of this film is phenomenal. We have like 4 big Hollywood names, and I was really excited for it. It's also because it's about end of the war, it's a dystopian kind of film, you know, like, and I love that kind of subgenre. However, I do think that the film tells a lot of stuff without anything, without any execution. There is a bunch of nothing that leads to nothing. Like, nothing is explained, and what's explained is just throughout the same conversation over and over again. I did like the social commentary towards America, and I did absolutely love the ending, the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I love the cinematography. I think this is one of the most gorgeous looking films of the year. And it's such a shame because this is a Netflix original, so people are gonna forget about this film within seconds. And it's not gonna get a physical media release, so obviously I don't see myself rewatching this, and I think that's why it's at 3 stars. Coming at number 24, that will be Sick, one of the first horror films that got released this year. Sick, a fun slasher, fun home invasion. I really enjoyed myself watching this film because obviously I think it was so fun that it was COVID related. I did not see the plot twist coming up. I think the chase scenes, it was such a good film for the slasher fans. Coming at number 23, and this was one of my most anticipated films of the year. I released that video in January, and that will be Infinity Pool, directed by Brandon Cronenberg. Now, I was really excited for this film because obviously the casting, the synopsis, I was really excited for it. However, when I watched the film, I found myself pretty bored. But this film is coming at number 23, and the main reason for that is because the acting, I think the gore, like the blood that we got, was really good, and also I think the synopsis was pretty unique, and it did disturb me in a few aspects. But it's just 3 stars because again, I think the film spends so much time in the same scene throughout the whole storyline, and the movie doesn't explain that much, and the end felt quite rushed. Coming at number 22, that will be probably one of the funniest films of the year, and that will be Suitable Flesh, directed by Joey Lynch. This film was so fun. I love the sweet bodies kind of genre, and this was with horror, with comedy. I think the acting was so good. It was really fun. This felt like a proper 70s kind of film, and I just really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I probably will rewatch this. I will own it. So if you haven't seen this, I really recommend it. Coming at number 21, it will be one of the most controversial films of the year, and that will be Skinamarink, directed by Kylie Edward Ball. Now, this film is something that I will never rewatch again because it was a struggle to finish this film, and I watched this at the cinemas. So when I tell you that this movie is almost 2 hours, you will be suffocated because I felt like that. I felt suffocated while watching this film, and that's the main reason why I will never rewatch it. It's 3 stars, and it's coming this high at number 22 just because It did disturb me, it made me remind a lot of stuff, and it was quite creepy and very, very unique. It felt like an experiment, and that's something that I have to admire. Coming at number 20, it will be It's a Wonderful Knife, directed by Tyler McIntyre. Now this film is a Shudder original, it's a Christmas horror film. I did like this film, I think it was a nice touch for the Christmas horror subgenre. I will rewatch this, I will own it. I think the synopsis was quite fun. Justin, he was amazing on this. The only reason why it's 3 stars is because, and it's coming at this place, is because the synopsis, we have seen that so many times. The movie is too convenient for the synopsis, for the storyline, for the characters. Nothing is explained, everything is too easy. So that's the main reason. Coming at number 19, that will be A Hunting in Venice, directed by Kenneth Branagh. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this film was pretty boring, and the only reason why it's like at this position is because of the cinematography, and because I might rewatch this in the future, and also because of the acting. But the execution was really boring, and I don't know if it's because this film is taking place in the 40s, but I think this film could have pushed itself to be something else because it's taking place in Venice, it's about Halloween, spooky vibes. I think it could have been done differently and something else rather than a murder mystery. Like, why not making this a possession mystery? Like, who possessed who? Coming at number 18, that will be Evil Dead Rise, directed by Lee Cronin. Now, I absolutely like this film. I think this film is like, it was so much fun because obviously I haven't watched this franchise. I only have seen the remake. Yes, I haven't seen the first trilogy, forgive me. So I don't really know if this is like a homage to those films, but I did like the concept. I think it was quite fun to not take place on a cabin. I think it was quite fun to follow a single mom with her kids. And obviously I love that the kids are not annoying, the teenagers are not annoying. The gore was fantastic, like it's such a fun watch, such a Blu-ray watch. Like I could see myself watching this so many times. And yeah, the main character, she's a badass. And this is an example where if you have a serious humanistic storyline, when it's correctly done, because our main character is going through a process if she should have a child or if she shouldn't, and the movie touches her in a really good way. Coming at number 17, that will be The Passenger, directed by Carter Smith. Now this film, I think this film, again, was an experiment because we're following a character that it shouldn't be likable. Like, we're following a villain, but also we're following the opposite to that character. So it was a good contrast between the two guys. And I just wish that the movie was more disturbing because the main character, he's really disturbing. And honestly, as the movie is progressing, he doesn't do much, but you will think because that character should do more disturbing stuff, and they don't do it. At number 16, that will be Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell. Now, yes, I did include this film here because I do consider this a horror because it is disturbing and it's quite dark. It has a few comedy aspects, but I did like this film because I think the visuals were so gorgeous. I think the acting was phenomenal. It's just at this position, and it's 3 stars and a half just because we've seen this concept before, and also because I wish the movie pushed itself to be more disturbing because they could have done it so easily. I wish this movie would have been more of a revenge kind of film, even though it is, but the movie just takes a cliche turn that I really like. Alright, top 15. I really hope people are still watching this video. So if you are, thank you. So coming at number 15, that will be Swallowed, directed by Carter Smith. Now this film, I really enjoyed. I think the movie was pretty unique for the kind of concept that it was touching. I love that we're following a gay couple and that homophobia is the main reason why these characters are going through that situation. Now coming at number 14, it will be one of the very first films of the year, and that will be the iconic Megan, directed by Gerald Johnstone. Now this film, it was just so much fun, and I know this film was related to Child's Play the remake. I did a comparison of both films. I just enjoyed it. I think Megan is a very iconic character that we got into horror. I just wish she was more badass when it comes to the kills. Maybe the sequel will give us that. Coming at number 13, that will be Appendage, directed by Anna Slotkovic. Now this film, when I tell you that I was really surprised by the turn this movie took, I'm not even lying. I think this movie is very unique and very exceptional because It's a comedy horror and it really works properly, the comedy and the horror. Like this might be one of my favorite horror comedies ever because I just love, obviously the practical effects were insane. Coming at number 12, that will be Thanksgiving, directed by Eli Roth. Now this film, fun slasher for the holidays, I think it will be a yearly watch, but I don't want to talk too much about it because of the situation that is going on right now. So I don't think that's why this movie, it will take me a while to rewatch it or like to own it on Blu-ray. Coming at number 11 is a film that I think people are not talking about, people are forgetting about, because this film is like not even 1K people have reviewed it over Letterboxd, and that will be Unseen, directed by Yoko Okumura. When I tell you that the editing of this film was amazing, it was so beautifully edited, and I think the concept, the way that we had two characters in two different locations, one helping the other through the cell phone, I think that was very fun. And obviously the execution, the ending, like how different the characters are, but how each of them they develop and find themselves, I think that was amazing. Now, coming the top 10 and my top 10 favorite horror films of the entire year. So coming at number 10th will be Talk to Me, directed by Michael Philippou and Danny Philippou. Now this film, I think is one of the best concepts that I've seen in a long time, because again, like I was saying with The Exorcist Believer, possession films, exorcism films, they should be done differently nowadays, and that's what Talk to Me did. Like I love how religion is not involved. I love how we're just following teenagers being stupid, because I would have done this if given the opportunity. I love the commentary behind social media. I love the practical effects. I love the hand, the score, the cinematography, the kills, the gore. Amazing, amazing, amazing film. One of the best, one of the strongest of this year. Coming at number 9, it will be a film that you might be surprised what is on this list, on the top 9, because it's a film that belongs to a franchise that I just don't enjoy. I don't like the other 3 films in this franchise. I gave to those films half star and 1 star, so you might be surprised why this film is at the number 9, and that will be Hell House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor, directed by Stephen Cognetti. Now when I tell you that if I felt creeped out with this film, I'm not even lying. I think this film was extremely creepy, like one of the creepiest films of the year. Like it was amazing, the way this movie made me feel. I don't know if it's because I was watching this late at night in my small TV and stuff, but I think the found footage elements work so well on this film. The storyline is super creepy. I think the use of the clowns was amazing. I think that the commentary aspect, it really worked well from this film. Like you really felt like you were watching an actual based in true events documentary. Coming at number 8 is another film that belongs to a franchise, and people really hate this film. They're saying that it's very necessary, that why was this made, and that will be Insidious 5, The Red Door, directed by Patrick Wilson. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I love the Insidious franchise. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. So I was really excited for this film, and I loved how the movie, even though it doesn't feel like as the first movies, I find that as a good sign, because it's like I'm glad it doesn't look like the other films and that this film is different, because honestly this film is more rewatchable than the third and the fourth. Coming at number 7 is a film that belongs again to another franchise. I didn't like the previous film to this film, and I haven't seen the other films in the franchise, but that will be VHS 85, directed by Scott Derrickson, David Bruckner, and more directors, because again this is an anthology. I love the 80s vibes on this film. Like you really believe that these tapes are from the 80s and that they are course tapes. So if you're into VHS, if you're into anthology from footage, definitely check this out. There is 2 storylines in this film they're very, very disturbing, and I just love them. Now coming at number 6, I think the best answer for the number 6 would be Scream 6, directed by Matt Bettinelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillette. Now, Scream 6, I've watched this film so many times. I think it's 3 or 4 times that I watched this film. And again, I think this film really improved compared to Scream 5. Even though I like Scream 5, I think that film is not aging properly, and Scream 6 might be the same. But I did like this film a lot, and I gave it 4 stars. So I did find myself enjoying it. I think it's a good Scream addition. I think the main characters, they really changed compared to the 5th film. The gore is better, the executions are better, the sequences are better. But and it's number 6 just because the movie plays it too safe. Like, a lot of stuff that happens is too convenient for the film. Now, coming at number 5, so this is the top 5 horror films of the year for me. So coming at number 5, it will be one of the films with the best concept that I have seen this year, and that will be Cobweb, directed by Samuel Bodin. Now, when I tell you that I really like this film and gave it 4 stars, so when I tell you that the concept of this film was amazing, because we're following a kid and the performances from this kid is absolutely perfect, because the way he's following this dark concept, because the concept is not easy, it was really well done. I think the direction behind him was amazing. I think the 2 parents, they were really creepy. Like, please give me those 2 actors in more horror, because they are super creepy. The facial expressions and stuff was amazing. Coming at number 4, and I think you might know which film it is. So this is like the last 4 films of the year, and you might be surprised because this film has been receiving so much hate, and it breaks my heart because I love this character, I love this movie, I love this universe. So coming at number 4 will be The Nun 2, directed by Michael Chaves. Now, The Nun 2, I compared this film to the original, so definitely check that video out to see more of my thoughts behind those films. Now, coming to the last 3 films and my top 3 horror thriller films of the year. Coming at number 3 will be Missing, directed by Nicholas D. Johnson. Now, when I tell you that Missing, I did not see any of the plot twists from this film. I think as the movie was progressing, as the more plot twists were coming up, I was not expecting them. So that's why huge like claps to this film, because the movie treats the audience as the movie wants, because nobody sees the plot twist coming. And I think the editing is fantastic, because obviously this is a fan footage but throughout a laptop, and I think it was done so beautiful. And now the last 2 films of the year, and my number 1 and 2 films, my favorite duo of the year. So I think you might know which films are here. So coming at number 2 is a film that is a part of a franchise, one of the best franchises of all time, and it's a film that I've watched already 5 times at the cinemas. So that film, I absolutely love it, and that will be Saw 10, directed by Kevin Grotert. Saw 10, like, this film is beautiful. This film was perfect. It's a piece of art. It's a love letter to horror. It's a love letter to the Saw fans. I love this film a lot, because I think this movie managed to be different despite being the 10th in a franchise throughout 3 decades. That's really admirable if you ask me. I absolutely love the characters. I think they're like one of my favorite characters in the franchise. I love the traps. Like, let me just say that 2 traps from this film are on my top 3 traps from the Saw franchise of all time. So let me just say that I love the score. Like, I keep listening to Hello Valentina, Hello Gabriela, Hello Mateo, because that soundtrack is perfect. I love the main villain, and I'm not even talking about Jigsaw. I'm talking about the older villain, but I don't want to spoil this film because it was just amazing. I love the interaction between everyone. This movie made me feel a lot of the stuff that not many horror films make me feel. This movie developed a new fear for me, and I just love how graphic it is, the storyline, the reveal, everything, how it's adding it up. I love John Kramer. I think he was amazing. I think it's his best interpretation in the franchise. I think he was phenomenal. Amanda, again, an iconic scream queen. And now, coming to number 1, and I don't know if you know which film it is, but this film is even on my top 4 films on Letterboxd, and I just love this film. I review it, so I will leave the link up here. but that will be Knock at the Cabin, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. When I tell you I loved this film, I don't even know how to explain myself, but I just loved it. I cried while watching this film. It made me feel a lot of emotions, the characters, the storyline, the execution, the communication between the landscape, between the characters, between the score, between the script, the cinematography. Everything was amazing, and I think this movie is one of the best psychological horror movies out there, because it just plays with your mind and makes you think, what would you do? Would you do option A? Would you do option B? Why? It plays with a lot of morals from society. Wow, so if you made it this far into this video, thank you. I'm gonna drink some water now because I've been talking for like 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comment section below your top 3, your top 5, your top 50 horror movies of this year, because maybe I can see films that I missed and that I might add to my watch list. And I will see you in the next video. Please take care, be safe, talk soon, bye bye.
Oh my god.